want to learn how to charge $3,000 plus for an online sports coaching program. And lucky for you, I've helped hundreds of sports coaches across over a dozen different sports do exactly that. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the components that you need to implement so that way you actually can charge $3,000 plus, so that way you can work with the athletes that you want to work with. You can actually focus on them and help them get a substantial amount of results better than you can get them in person. If this is your first time here, my name is Nick. I run an online consulting company helping sports coaches grow their online coaching businesses so that way they can impact more athletes, make more money, live a better life, and create more freedom. If you want to learn how I can help you, check out the link in the description. But without further ado, let's dive into it. How do we actually charge $3,000 for an online coaching program? Now, before I give you all the sauce, look, I'm going to give it to you all in this video. Before I give you all the sauce, most of you guys out there are probably mad skeptical. You're like, how am I supposed to charge $3,000? Like, your conception of an online coaching program is probably like a PDF and Zoom lessons and all that stuff. That is not what I'm teaching here, okay? And so really the first thing that we need to understand is that you need to have a really, really good offer, okay? And this is something that if you watch a lot of my videos, I talk about the offer all the time, okay? And so what do I mean when I say the offer? The offer is if you're gonna pay me, let's say $3,000, what is the transformation? What is the outcome that I'm going to get? You see a lot of you guys out there giving lessons right now, your offer is I will give you 1 hour of my time for $100. That's not a very compelling offer. That is a very warm, friendly offer, let's say. Right? Unless somebody already views you as an authority, already has a relationship. This is why you probably get all your business from word of mouth, because you don't know how to market a really good offer, right? And these principles are gonna apply even to in-person coaching as well, okay? So even if, for some ridiculous reason, you don't ever wanna go online, this principle will apply to your in-person coaching as well, okay? Because I have clients that charge $5,000 for a hybrid coaching program, okay? So the thing is, what actually happens when we think about an offer is number one, who is the avatar, or in coach speak, the ideal athlete, okay? Yeah, I'm spelling that right. Cool. So we need to think about who is the ideal athlete. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, so many of my clients they would never pay $3,000. Right? They get this misconception that just because a lot of people wouldn't pay $3,000 for an online coaching program doesn't mean that there aren't people out there doing it. I have hundreds of examples that prove that exact belief wrong, right? So is it that athletes won't pay $3,000, or is it that you don't know how to do it? It's probably the second one, because if there are other people doing it, then you can do it too. You just need to learn the skill. So pay very close attention to what I'm saying right now. We need to target a very specific type of person. Now, if you are trying to go after people who are not that serious about their career, it doesn't matter what sport it is, they're not going to be willing to pay $3,000, okay? If you're not that serious about growing an online coaching business, and then you get on a call with me or my team, and we ask you for money, if you're not that committed, if you don't actually want to do it, you're probably not going to move forward, right? It's the exact same thing. If you get an athlete who is super committed, who really wants to do it, they just want to learn how they can, progress in their career, then $3,000 is relatively cheap. Think about a college scholarship. How much is that worth? If you played college sports, how much is that experience worth? You can't even put a price tag on it. Okay, and so if your coaching is the difference between this person maybe going to a D3 and a D1, what is that worth? It's priceless, right? So that's why we can justify charging $3,000 to the right person, okay? The second thing is, what is the outcome that we're promising, okay? Or what is their desired goal, okay? So a lot of people, when they come into my program and they try and get super, super, super specific, or they think themselves into all these mental loops, like, oh, well, I just want to help athletes get better. So because I can't do a specific metric like 60 time or 40 time or, some specific metric, it's not going to work for me. It's like, no, You just have to position the outcome properly, okay? Give you a prime example. Have a client right now who's on pace to maybe do $50,000 this month. He only has 10,000 followers on Instagram, and when he made his first $10,000 month, he had like 6,000 followers, okay? So keep in mind that you don't need tons of followers to do this, right? All he did was he positioned his offer as helping people play high-level D1. He wants to help these kids who are maybe in junior college or maybe at a D2, D3 NAIA that want to transfer to a high-level D1. Maybe they're in high school, high school prospect, right? He's going to help them get to a high-level D1, right? So he is targeting a very specific type of person who has a big aspirational goal, right? And that is the outcome that he is helping them get, because guess what? He did it himself. And so makes him pretty qualified to be able to help these people, right? And he's helping other people do it, okay? So we need to think, who are we helping? What are we helping them get? And what problem are we helping them solve? Okay? Or like, what is their struggle? So let's go back to the client who they charge like, $3,500 right now for a 6-month online coaching program, okay? If they're helping a high school D2, D3, junior college, NAIA pitcher, actually go to a Power 4 type of school, a high-level D1 school, that's the desired goal. What is their struggle? Maybe their stuff isn't good enough. Maybe they're not throwing hard enough. Maybe they have a mental block, right? There are all these things that they could be struggling, but we're helping them overcome a struggle to get to a desired goal for a very, very, very specific type of person, okay? And so we need to really understand these components of the offer. Like, I'm going to help high-level pitchers play at a high-level D1 and overcome their confidence barrier or whatever, right? And so the last thing that I'll say when it comes to the offer, and I alluded to it or I mentioned it earlier, is the positioning, okay? So what a lot of people don't understand about online coaching is that it's not PDFs, it's not Zoom lessons, it's not, any of this, it's on a drill pack, anything like that. If that's what you think online coaching is, you just have it all messed up, right? You're not seeing it in the right frame. What I have learned after working with hundreds of people and doing it myself is that positioning it as a mentorship, because that's essentially what it is, right? And we'll get into the actual deliverables here in a second. But you want to position it as a mentorship. Now, let me ask you a question. You watching this right now, I'm assuming that you're probably a pretty good coach, that you had a pretty good playing career, and you want to learn how you could charge $3,000 plus, right? If you had access to you right now when you were 16 as a mentor, how much differently would your career have been? Just as a mentor, not even necessarily somebody who's sitting there telling them what to do every single day, being a coach, right? What would that have done for your career? Would you have maybe gone a little further? Would your journey have been a little bit easier? Would it have been worth $3,000? Duh. It would have been worth way more than that. Way more than that. Exactly. That is why we position it as a mentorship offer, right? You're helping a very specific athlete achieve a very specific goal and overcome a very specific struggle by being a mentor for them, okay? So that's the first thing we need to understand. That is what I talk about whenever I say, hey guys, you need an offer, right? Most of you guys out there right now, your offer is, hey, it's $200 a month. Like if you're trying to do online coaching on your own, you're not in my program, you haven't learned this stuff. It's like, hey, it's $200 a month for online coaching. And people will be like, well, what do I get with it? You'll be like, oh, it's Zoom calls, it's a daily program, it's this, it's that. That's great. That's not the offer, okay? I'm going to help you get this outcome. That's what these people want. Okay? Now the second thing that comes with charging $3,000, once we have the offer, we need to figure out what are the deliverables of the offer, or in coach speak, what are you actually doing to help somebody achieve this outcome, or to achieve the goal that you're saying, right? How can you justify this $3,000 price point? So what I found is we're going to have a daily custom plan. for development, okay? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to develop these athletes in a very customized way, okay? If you saw your athletes every single day, what would you have them do? That is what the plan's going to be, right? So it could be mobility, strength training, skill work, cool down, recovery, homework, mental training, nutrition. This should all be in the offer. And the benefit of an online coaching platform is that way you can create these digital assets that sit on the online coaching program, so that way you don't have to remake them every single time. You don't have to say the same thing every single time whenever you're at a lesson, right? You have zero leverage on your knowledge right now. This is what I'm teaching you how to do right now. Have leverage on what you know, okay? So you have a daily custom plan, right? Then we're gonna say 24/7 messaging. Okay, 24/7 messaging. Now, what does that actually look like? That means that the athlete can message you at any time about anything, and you're gonna be able to hit them back super quick, you know? Or as long as we set the expectation, it doesn't have to be, I'm gonna message you back within 5 minutes. That is completely unrealistic. You will literally have a chain around your wrist to your phone, right? We don't want that. We're trying to do this for freedom, but at the same time, we also need to deliver a good service, right? So we wanna open up 24/7 messaging for them. So that way, at any time. Also, we're gonna do like video analysis of some sort. Now this could be game footage. This could be mechanical breakdowns. This could be, it could literally be anything, right? But you're taking a video that they send you, and typically, I'm gonna give you a little bit of sauce right here. Once a week, they're sending you video of like, let's say their mechanics or their game footage or something like that, and then you're gonna break it down for them, okay? And I'm gonna give you even more sauce right here. A weekly check-in to hold them accountable, okay? Because inside these online coaching apps, you can lay out like an entire custom plan for somebody. You can lay out an entire custom plan for somebody, and then they can mark it off as completed inside the app. So that way you could see if they're actually complying. And if they paid you $3,000 and they're not gonna do it, they're probably not that serious. You probably didn't get the right athlete, right? This is why it's so important to get the right athlete. Because so many people are like, how do I know if they're gonna do the actual coaching, Nick? It's like, get the right athletes. Get the right athletes. The right athlete is going to take action. They're gonna do the work. And if you don't have athletes that you have access to right now that would be willing to do it, then guess what? You need to go out and get different athletes. You need to become a marketer, okay? But we'll get into that. Don't worry, we'll get into that, okay? So we wanna have a weekly check-in where every single week they're submitting a video, and then we're gonna give them feedback once a week. It could be on a call, it could be just a breakdown, send it back to them, messaging. What you'll find is that most athletes, they don't wanna get on calls with you. They don't care about spending time with you, okay? What they care about is the outcome. And if we're messaging them back and forth, like think about it, dude. These kids are spending so much time on their phone, they develop relationships with everybody through a phone. And so you might have this limiting belief that you cannot develop relationships with people through a phone, but guess what? Your athletes don't have that limiting belief. And the people who are having success online don't have that limiting belief either. Don't cast that over yourself. All you're doing by casting the belief that I can't create a relationship with somebody over the phone is preventing you from actually ever creating the life that you want, because that is a belief. It is not a statement of fact, right? So get over that, okay? So we're gonna have a weekly check-in video analysis. Also, we're gonna have a community, okay? We're gonna have a community so that way they can have access to a bunch of other kids just like them, right? And that's why we wanna go after one specific person. It makes the community so much more valuable. Because if you wanna go far, or if you wanna go fast, go alone. If you wanna go far, go together. That is why we have the community. Every single time I've made the most amount of progress in my life, in the gym or whatever, I had outside accountability from my peers. They were holding me accountable, and I'm saying, hey, I want to get stronger. I want to do this. I want to do that. That holds me accountable because of the community that I'm in. We are very communal beings, right? Okay, community, and then there's some real sauce right here. Group calls. Now, once a week, what I've seen works exceptionally well is once a week you do a group call and you go over like a specific training, right? You go over a specific training. You go over mindset. You go over a mechanical thing. You go over a concept. You go over a drill. And if you want to know like, oh, Nick, how do I actually make this apply to me? Right? That's exactly what I do for people inside of my coaching program, Remote Training University, 6-month coaching program where we literally hold your hand the entire way, show you the tech setup, show you the tools, how to market, how to sell, how to create a program, do all that different type of stuff. We have a community of over 100 active coaches. We host in-person events, all that great stuff. If you want to learn more about it, you can check out the link in the description. But group calls, okay? Group calls are going to be something that is fantastic to build that community. Okay, and by having all of this, we can create a lot of leverage and we can say, hey, all of these things together are going to help you get this outcome that you're looking for and overcome this problem that you said that you have. And if we can optimize this exact type of program for one specific type of athlete, then we're gonna get consistent, repeatable results that make it easy for the next part of this, okay? So, I mentioned earlier, if you don't have athletes that you think would actually be accountable to this type of program. It's not that athletes don't want to do the work, right? Don't say, oh, kids these days don't want to work hard. Well, most kids these days are probably a way better athlete than you were. Just take a little bit of time, go on your Instagram, look at how good these high school kids are. They didn't get there by just sitting on the couch, scrolling through TikTok, right? You need to get the right people coming inbound to you. And what that looks like is actually having a brand online. Where is everybody today? Everybody is on Instagram, okay? Everybody's on Instagram, right? And this is something that I talk about in a lot of my content, but I'm gonna hammer it home over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until you finally learn that having a brand online in 2026, if you don't have a brand online in 2026 and moving forward, it is irresponsible for you as a coach to not have a brand online. It's actually ridiculous. Why would you not have a brand online in 2026? You're sitting here consuming my video because I have a brand online, right? Why would you not have a brand online? Everybody does. Everybody has a brand online, okay? So what we need to understand is how do we build that brand online? Okay, number one, we want to have one message. Okay? So, when it comes to actually having one message, what do I mean by that? I'm not saying that we sit there and manually message every single person the exact same thing over and over and over again. If you think that, sorry, you have no chance of making online training work, right? But what does one message mean? It means that we are going to send out one specific core idea or topic that is bigger than just sports. Outside of trying to make $3,000 for an online coaching program, why do you coach? What is that message that we're trying to send, right? For me, I'm trying to push out, hey, you can actually make money in sports. You can actually create the life that you want. If you work hard enough, you learn the skills and you get around the right people. That is my core message. Go on my Instagram, go on my YouTube. It's what I push everywhere. That's why I post videos of me, bench pressing. That's why I post videos of me, in my personal life. That's why I write captions that are super long describing what I'm going through. So that way you guys can relate to me on this one core message. And you should have the exact same thing, okay? Another thing is we need to actually be personal and a leader. People want to do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And the way people learn best is through stories. So if we can tell our personal story that show people that we are a leader that has been through the exact same things that our ideal athletes has been through, and that we've helped other people go through that transformation ourselves, then we can start to build a brand online, right? But we want to be personal. We want to push one message that is greater than just, I'm trying to get your money, okay? Yeah, money is great, but it's really just a scoreboard for how much of an impact you're having in people's lives. And so the more impact that you can have, the more you can push that message, the more you can be personal, the more money you're gonna make, the more lives you change, right? You don't make a couple $1 million online being really bad at what you do, right? Okay, the last thing is gonna be proof, okay? And proof could come in as many forms as possible. Were you good at the thing? Have you helped other people get good at the thing? If you don't have this proof yet, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. Go get it, and then you can charge $3,000, right? But I'm speaking to the person right now who's already got a little bit of proof. Maybe you were a great athlete yourself. Maybe you're a great coach right now and you have people playing at the highest levels of all sports, but nobody knows who you are. That is a shame. Shame on you for not putting yourself out there if you are actually really good at what you do, because you can impact so many people through the internet. But you're sitting there afraid to put yourself out there in case of, a friend from high school, they might say something bad about you. You're worried about being perceived. Your fear of being perceived is holding you back from ever having the real impact that you say that you want. So you either do this and build a brand online so that way you can actually create the freedom and the impact that you say that you want, or just accept the fact that it's never gonna happen for you. And that's totally cool. But I don't think that's you, or else you wouldn't have clicked on this video. So this is what you need to do. You need to have one core message. You need to be personal and tell your story and show yourself as a leader. And then you need to provide proof that you've done it, that you've helped other people do it, and that your methods work, okay? And so when you combine these three things, right? Number one, we have a really good offer that speaks directly to one outcome, that solves one specific problem for one specific person. And we have the deliverables, and we have a brand online. If we do that, and by brand, I don't mean, you don't need to be famous, okay? You don't need tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers to make money with online coaching, okay? You only need maybe a couple hundred. The more you have, obviously, the easier it is, but I've seen people with a couple hundred followers make plenty of money online, okay? You just need to follow this framework, okay? So, offer, deliverables, brand. If you do that, you could charge $3,000 plus for an online coaching program. If this is valuable for you, make sure to hit the subscribe button. If you want my help personally implementing this, then go ahead, check out the link in the description, apply to work with me. If you just want to continue to learn for free on YouTube, that's cool too. Either way, hopefully you got a ton of value out of this video. Catch you in the next one. Peace.